Call your sponsor. Call your sponsor.
Welcome back to Bitch Call Your Sponsor. I'm Misty.
And I'm Sam.
Hello, Sam. Shall we start with our primary purpose?
Sure.
Our primary
purpose
is for
Misty and Sam
to grow
their friendship
and maybe help
others.
Okay, today I have brought for you the topic of your AA Roman Empire. So, are you familiar with this viral TikTok thing that was going around probably like 4 or 5 months ago, where this girl would asked her boyfriend, like, do you ever think about the Roman Empire? And the guy was like, yeah, 2 to 3 times a week. And she was like, what? And then other women started asking their boyfriends. And then other people started going, well, this is my Roman Empire. And I just wanted to ask, like, what is that AA Roman Empire equivalent that you find yourself thinking of 2 times a week or 3 times a week that really has helped you?
Whoa. Okay, so I missed the social moment. So it's the thing that I find myself thinking about 2 times a week. That's AA.
I can go first to help you out.
Yeah.
Since I brought it. Yeah, not to put you on the spot with this. So just wanted to give some backstory on it. But when I started thinking about it, I was like, I remember in my first 4 months, now this is one of them. This may not be the biggest one, but it was the first one that came to my mind, is there was this woman who had, I think, 4 years, which in recovery, when you have 4 months, someone with 4 years is like, they just, they know everything. They're like, you just look to them and just think they're, an AA god. And she got up there and she said, this has been a hard year. And there's been a few times where I've gone to the movies by myself and cried, and I've curled up in my bed and not wanted to do the world. And I've just kept hanging in there and suiting up and showing up. And afterwards, I was like, thank you so much for saying that. And she said, I almost didn't say it because you were in the room and you're a newcomer, and I didn't want to let you know that I was struggling. And I'm like, I need to know that you're struggling. It's imperative that I know that you're struggling. So that's one of them. But I kick it back to you now, Sam.
So I guess there's 2 things that are in my mind. One is, like, when I was in early recovery, there were those people that were so kind and generous and loving and in very small gestures that really touched my heart. And in hindsight, it's like, oh, wow, that was like, there's this one woman, I'll never forget her. I'll never forget. I don't even know her name. I know that she was definitely older, gray hair, and she just had this lightness of being. And she looked at me dead in the eyes, and I was sitting all the way in the back in this dark, dingy, moldy basement in some church. And she said, this is such a beautiful way of life, And I was like, it just hit me, and I will never forget that woman and what she said. And it just like, it just washed over me. I'm like, I'm okay today,
Mm-hmm.
And so there's that piece. And then the thing is, I guess when I was hearing you share about this Roman Empire, and like the thing that I think about several times a week or whatever is, I think now is I really think about the people that I get to work with. And I don't know, I just feel so fortunate that I get to trudge with other people. And it is just so meaningful to know that, because I think about in Living Sober, it talks about, failing yourself with a sponsor. and it says, there's no payment, there's no exchange, like there's, it's like there's no job description. Like, it's just like, there's no need to repay them. The only things you need give is, should you decide to pass this on, and I think about the time, just get so emotional, like just all the time and energy and attention that was put on my sobriety. And they were doing it to pass it on. They weren't really like, they weren't looking for a big fat check or, a feather in their cap, and I guess that's the thing that kind of like more recently is like overwhelming to me, just the time and attention and energy that we put on one another. Which is also like a solve to like incessant brain in like obsessing about crazy, stupid shit.
That's so beautiful. You're all verklempt.
Verklempt, totally.
You're verklempt. Yeah, that's really beautiful. And I think you make a really good point that, I've given a lot of time and attention to people that I work with, and also people have given a lot of time and attention to me, and it always feels for fun and for free. Like, it feels way more substantial than any paycheck I've ever received. And, it goes back to the more I learn about food or medicine or anything, the more it goes back to what's organic is what works best. So like, money is an exchange that we all created. And we created a stock market. Whereas before, the exchange of stories for food was a thing. The exchange of being there for other people for, crops or whatever, that was a thing. And maybe that's why it just feels so much more fulfilling. And also on the other end, I too am like, oh my gosh, this person gives so much time, I have to give them money, And I don't.
Yeah. It's incredible. Our organization, I was recently looking into other kind of things, and there's this thing called Peoplehood. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No.
We'll see how long it lasts. Anyway, there was a huge Times piece on it, and it feels very 12 steps without the 12 steps. Well, like there's like a facilitator, and it's like sharing stories and sharing what's really going on. But there's like shades on the wall. The seats are in a circle. And it was like created by the co-founders of SoulCycle. It's like their next venture, and I was going to actually go check it out to just really see what's there, because it's like the AA 12-step stuff is like very difficult to capture because we have a primary purpose. Like, thank God there's no money exchange, because me trying to like look at this other thing, I'm like, oh, how much is this? And like, wait, what am I talking about with these rando people? You know what I mean? Like, there isn't this like, already there's not this like authenticity of like, wait, because I went into program thinking like, what do they want from me? Like, because everything in my life up until that point had been transactional. In fact, when I first heard sponsorship, I thought that like that was going to cost something,
Well, if it's Russell Brand, it does. So.
Oh. Okay, that's good. That's good to know.
he was charging people to be their sponsor. Just
wow. I wonder if you get a free Kundalini breathwork session with that too,
or essayed. Who knows?
Oh wow, that's very fascinating. Yeah, it's very, very interesting because I recently read Tradition 2 with a sponsee, and it really what they kind of highlight in there is this wanting. That's where they talk about Rule 62. They talk about this idea to have these like 12-step centers. The first floor, they get detox. The second floor, they get education. The third floor, they start making amends and paying back and restitution. And then fourth floor is like, they become gods, or, like they become enlightened and levitate. And it's like Avi did not work, because that is what we see in the whole recovery community, actually.
Well,
where
that
it's
was-
like a paid thing. Go ahead.
Well, that was Bill's plan. It never really got instituted. It was just that's the plan, that when Bill went to go meet with Rockefeller, and he wanted to get all this money for Rockefeller. So, like a good Wall Street guy, Bill had a business plan, and he said, because he had to show him what he would use the money for and why he needed it. So he went to the dinner and he's like, here's what we're going to do. And we're going to take them in on the first floor, and we're going to get them all, detoxed. And then we're going to evaluate them. And then we're going to get them new clothes, and we're going to help their psychology. And then by the time we get them out on that fourth floor, they're going to be like the most amazing workers and people that you guys would ever want. And Rockefeller was like, you know what? I really like your plan. This is great, Bill. But I have this instinct that if I give you money for this, all of this will go away.
Mm.
And I think you're going to do better without, me being obligated to me.
Mm.
And Bill went back and was so depressed. He was looking forward to all this money, and he was going to be back at it. You know how we do, right? And it was the best blessing for AA, because I too was having to describe it to somebody from the outside recently, and I was having to explain, like, we don't have sponsors, like people put $1 in a basket, like we don't have leaders, like there's nothing in the world and society today that operates the way this amazing miracle works.
It's so beautiful. And it's also a bit like, if in this moment, I'm just like, yeah, and it's kind of shitty that there is nothing else that has been able to operate on this thing of giving and corporate poverty, and really about, promoting wellness, like,
Well, I mean,
kind of shitty.
yeah, I mean, the thing is, what Rockefeller did right there is what changed everything, because nobody else says, you don't need money. Nobody says that in society today. It is all about the business plan and the seed capital and the ROI and KPI and all of it. And so we've gotten a certain software with money exchange, and nobody's thinking outside of that. And this was such a rare moment. And the fact that here we are in 2024 and it's still operating in that same fashion, it doesn't get enough credit. This is my Roman Empire right here.
Totally. I mean, I think the only organization, but it's for profit, right? So it's like difficult. Even nonprofits make money. So it's like the only organization I can think of is Patagonia, where he actively tells people not to buy shit. He has that 1% club, whatever, but there's money involved,
Yeah.
But it is a corporation that definitely has a higher purpose. Anyway.
I think there's a lot of companies that have a higher purpose, but none of them operate like we do, where even people who want to put us in their will and give money, we have a cap amount of what people are able to give. I think it's $5,000. So even when a woman puts $500,000 in her will because AA changed her whole family and saved her life, she can only give $5,000 because we don't want to be indebted to anyone and have to answer to someone. And then this is the way our government is supposed to work. It doesn't. But the thing is like, just the fact that we have a cap on it. I remember early on when I was going to this like 12 midnight meeting, and I had very little time in sobriety. And I remember saying to one of the guys from the meeting, to make amends, he was paying for our coffee every single week. So he was buying the grounds and buying the creamer and buying the sugar, buying all that stuff. And he said it was part of his amends and he wanted to do that for the club. And because we were doing a tradition night every single week or month, much to my chagrin, I was told, because I became the treasurer, I had to go and tell this guy, we can't do this. We have to pay for our own coffee because, if you leave this group or, this isn't your place to do the amends at, we have to be responsible so that all of a sudden, if you were to leave or were to, you finished your amends, we wouldn't be at a deficit and now have to learn how to come up with this money.
Okay, I'm loving this conversation because I think one of our other episodes was this like button pushing victim, whatever story. And what I love about what you just shared is that we are in all of our affairs in the step, in the way that that we operate as a group, what we're really practicing is not only rigorous honesty, but we're practicing being responsible, right? Yeah. So like the thing you just shared is like, through our own contributions, we are self-sufficient. I'm not leeching or dependent upon any other person, place, or thing. We can be self-sufficient, right? We're autonomous. There's no directors. It's like God is our director, And like that for me is like so beautiful and fluid and flexible. I remember answering phones at some like intergroup or central office, and some woman called, and she was
sponsor. Call you sponsor. Call you sponsor. Call you.
Bitch, call your sponsor.
Call your sponsor.
Send us an email with comments, questions, or concerns, bcysponsor@gmail.com.
Don't forget to rate 5 stars.